This is XTIA, one of the coolest, dopest planes.
We may be one step
EVTOLs.
closer to living like the Jetsons as the
Let's say
FAA
we're in a new era of air travel.
We're going to talk about
regulations and aviation that they put in place this way. Certification is likely coming faster.
FAA approved the first new aircraft category since the 1940s. I believe in the 1940s, what was the aircraft they approved? Planes? Helicopters? I'm not sure. There hasn't been a new type of mode of transportation ever since. Yeah, I'm not sure what aircraft. I think helicopters.
And maybe the most stunning thing that we heard is from the FAA administrator, not a company spokesperson, who compared this tech to the automobile and the cell phone, and that they think this tech could soon be everywhere.
This is XTIA. We're gonna dive into it. So the tech they're actually talking about here in that video, as you can see behind him, was Joby, EVTOLs. But we're here to talk about XTIA today, and this company is really cool. Before we get into that, I just want to show you their planes. This is awesome. This is not a plane. This is an eVTOL. They're actually calling it an XVTOL, which is pretty cool on their name, but it is a hybrid form, so it's not fully electric. It's hybrid. It's more like HLVR, which I really like HLVR if you've seen my videos on that. But this is completely different. This looks a lot more like a plane, and it is more for business use and for really far travel. As you can see, they literally use like these jet engines like a plane. It looks really cool to me. You have two main jets and then one, wow, it looks like it closes here. Wow, that's so cool. And then one in the back. And why is this different than the other eVTOLs? Well, 1,000 miles of range. It goes really far. You can go from, countries, city to city, and this is going to be used, and it's way faster too. So let's actually just look at the details here to compare a bit. So, this is the name of their XVTOL, the TriFan 600, which I really like. It reminds me a little bit of Hover's fan and wing design, which this is much better for sound, by the way. However, this back one is much better because, as you can see, it's really like enclosed, where these are like open, but they're open for a reason, because they go from this hover state to this, cruising, move forward flight state. And the big difference with this and, the propellers like Joby and Archer versus Hover is, well, one, there is difference in noise and efficiency, but one of the biggest difference really is the aerodynamic, the drag. So Hovers is really cool because it's really much more like a plane and it's much more aerodynamic. But nonetheless, this is really cool. It looks like a jet engine, but it's really just these huge rotor propellers. But it looks really cool. And it seats a lot of people. It seats, I believe, 6-7 people, just like Hover, which is really cool. But it is much bigger. The plane looks much bigger than Hover. I think it's really crazy that Hover and them are kind of like, they're in the same industry, really. They're for long distance, emergency, and medical things, and also in the military might be used. But payload, I don't think this carries a lot of payload. This is more kind of like for business use. But also medical here. Let's go over that in a second. I'm going to go over some of the numbers and stuff in a minute. This is a tiny market cap also. This is why I love this stock. So just imagine one of these landing. How cool is that? This plane just looks really damn cool to me. Well, let's go over a little bit about comparing them. I really like this right here. So the range, 900 miles. No other eVTOL does anything like that. Even Hover does like 500 miles, 900 plus miles, 1,000 miles. It's crazy. The speed is like 300 plus miles. eVTOLs and helicopters are more like 100, 150. So this is way faster. So this is why it's good for medical. And actually, if you remember, if you watch one of my other videos, I show this. I showed all the categories where different companies might win these government contracts. And I have XTI here under rural and medical, not under cargo, but under rural for, far flight transportation, and then under medical because, well, they can respond really quick. And yeah, this is just a really dope plane. However, the reason these are lower here and not higher up like Horizon and Beta is because they have actual planes. XTIA, unfortunately, is all renders, and they are not as far ahead as the other companies. However, XTIA did just receive some big news. Let's just pop it open real quick here. XTIA. They got some FAA approval or something just happened actually. Let's look it up. FAA. This was actually some bullish news and why the stock went up quite a bit today. But at $2, the stock is market cap 19 million. Honestly, it's a little inaccurate here on Robinhood. It says 34 million. It doesn't matter. It's really low. It's like half of Hover. And if you look at the all-time, you know, this has really been, oh my goodness. This has really been tracked down, okay? This is a little bit of a very scary company to be in. But I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think they're nowhere near filing for bankruptcy just yet. They literally just got some news here with the FAA. So, you know, this is pretty bullish. They're still continuing, right? They're not going bankrupt. XTIA completes FAA propulsion system review of the TriFan. So they just completed a review. I don't know, I guess if that means they got accepted, but if any more news about this comes out that they did get accepted, and what that means is their TriFan, you know, this big ass propeller, I guess the FAA is approving it. Once they approve it and it works, I guess they can maybe build a plane and actually, you know, start operating, or, you know, at least prove the model. But all of this, as you saw in the beginning of the video, is just big industry that's coming. It's all brand new. This might be really huge. So everything is really just conceptual now, and all the money in it is just very, you know, risky. However, I really like the stock when it's already at its, how much lower can we go, right? I mean, it's just really crazy. The chart, 30 million market cap, it's really low. Just like Hover, I really, really like this. There's a lot of upside to it. That's what it means. It just means there's a lot of upside. There is obviously some downside, but I just look at these and I'm like, how much lower can we go? This is actually a company that has pretty damn cool product, and if they do take off, well, the stock will absolutely skyrocket. But that's the big thing. That's if they do take off. Not like HOVR, as you may have seen in my past video. They literally took off flight May 15th, and well, the stock completely soared since then. I think it literally hit 6-7x from May 15th. But anyways, XTIA, what I wanted to show you, is only at $2, and we have some analysts here with a $12 price target. In fact, there is this one analyst giving it a $1.5 price target. Not good. Well, we have a $12 price target from this shitty analyst with 0 stars, and a $15 price target with this other shitty analyst with 1 star. Take that with a grain of salt as you will, but that is a almost 700% upside on your money. That's huge. That's why I like this stock. I like these small stocks that have the big upside. I'm not too into the Googles and, you know, the Mag 7s that are going to generate you, I don't know how much really, right? But you're not going to get X's on them. You're going to get little 20, 30, 40%. You're not going to 2, 3, 4, 10x your money, at least within, you know, 2-3 years. What I'm talking about here, I don't know. Look, these price targets were actually given in January, so also take that as a grain of salt. This one's more recent, the 1.5 since June 27. However, TipRanks is not even ranked, so let's just ignore them. I mean, TipRanks is this, you know, this website, but I'm not even going to look at the analysts. Okay, they're obviously really shitty analysts, but I just applaud them for, you know, giving us this upside, giving us a little bit of a target. I don't know where they got these targets. I'm not going to look at their report, to be honest. Too much. We don't need to look into that. All we really want to look at is that this is a completely new field, and they are doing it completely differently. This XVTOL system, no one else is doing it like them. And if they do make any little wave in this eVTOL industry, well, they can skyrocket, because this is a potential $1 trillion, and I got to make a whole video on this separately probably, but this eVTOL business is a potential $1 trillion TAM by 2040. So, you know, we're sitting at a 25-30 million market cap. Obviously, XTIA is not going to be $1 trillion, but if they even get a 1% of that, or whatever it may be, I mean, we're looking at huge gains from here. And 2040 is a long time. Not saying to wait till then, but even by 2030, once Some of these are flying in the air, Joby, Archer, and some of these models are proven. XTIA might not be in the area, but they might just be having their first aircraft flying, you know, getting some more regulation and certification approvals. You need to pass, I think, the type certification. That takes some time, but as we've seen from HOVR, it can be done with a very lean amount of money, very small, you know, small level stage of a company like HOVR. So I'm bullish on this because if they can do what HOVR is doing right now, I think this can skyrocket a lot, just like HOVR. But I think this is a bit earlier than where HOVR is. I am more bullish on HOVR, but I do really like XTIA, and I just wanted to bring that up because I don't think I've made a video on this one yet, and I do plan to learn more about it and make further deep dives on it. I didn't really go over this, so I'll just go over this lastly here, just to finish it. They can land on helipads, job sites, remote locations, and clear driveways, which driveways, that's crazy to me. But it looks like, you know, just like a helicopter. They're just like a helicopter, they can do that. Just a business airplane can't do that. Obviously, an airplane can fly further and even faster, but the big, you know, downsides of an airplane is this one line item right here of, you know, landing in small places vertically. So that's great. Proven propulsion systems, just like in a plane, helicopter, but eVTOLs don't have that. So, you know, this is great. Larger payload. I have to look into that because oh, that is right. You know what? XTIA actually, just like Hover can carry 1,500 pounds. XTIA can carry 1,400 pounds, just under Hover, which is only another reason to be more bullish on Hover. They can carry a lot of freaking shit. Elroy carries like 600 pounds, so that's crazy. I'm gonna put them actually XTIA above that, but Elroy is specifically designed for carrying long. Elroy, I'm just gonna quickly show you. I know we're bouncing around, but they're just to show you this visual. It's pretty cool. They're literally designed just to carry cargo and autonomously. There's no actual driver pilot in here. It's all autonomous, which is pretty damn cool. But my bad, 600, now 300 pounds. Only carries 300 pounds. Flies only 300 miles. So Elroy is for a very small specific use case, but I don't think they're gonna win the government contract. So I'm gonna push them down here now. And yeah, if you wanna learn about why I made all these decisions here and why I trashed all these shitty companies here, check out my channel. I made a whole nother video on that. And yeah, XTIA is looking pretty damn good to me now. So, and the price targets don't mean much really. What I'm really looking forward is the long term. But you know, if we go to 12, 15 bucks from here, $2, this is pretty damn good returns. Let's just finish up here. So, no new airspace regulation required. I'm gonna look into that. That's interesting because eVTOLs do have to. That's a big hurdle with eVTOLs. Why do they not need airspace regulation? Yeah, that's huge. And I don't know what that FA news is. They just completed propulsion systems, but it looks like the stock went up only 12% on that. This might be really bullish news if, you know, if they don't need much regulation, what else do they need to do with the FAA? So this is crazy to me. Maybe because they're already kind of regulated, like as a helicopter. That'd be pretty cool. And oh, actually, I gotta show you this. This is really cool. Do you know about the V-22 Osprey? This thing is crazy. This is one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen. Now, XTIA obviously is not like this. This reminds me a little more of Joby. However, they only have these two propellers. But XTIA is kind of like that. They only have these two big propellers, actually. And then, obviously, it's like enclosed. And they rotate, right? Just like up and down, according to, you know, this one's flying forward. And then, you know, this one is flying upwards. This is one of the coolest freaking pieces of planes I've ever freaking seen, honestly. I should maybe make another video on this and show you how this thing flies, but just showing you real quick. You can look it up on your own, but it is really impressive. It is huge. It carries a bunch of cargo. It's meant for military use in cargo. And these planes probably run, I don't know how expensive they are, but I'm imagining XTIA's planes are not going to be as cheap as Hover. They just look really damn sexy and expensive. So, you know, they'll probably be used in like leases. So maybe like Airbus and Boeing might even buy them, or United and, you know, companies like that. But Hover is selling at like $5 million an aircraft. That's not that crazy. Like literally a rich person can buy that and park that in his, you know, big ass acre backyard. Anyways, So that's really interesting. Certified IFR flight into clouds and adverse weather improves readability. I think that just means they can fly in, complicated situations in the air, right? With a bunch of maybe bad weather and stuff. Whereas eVTOLs kind of have a problem with that. Helicopters, most of them I guess do have a problem with that, but as we see, this one definitely doesn't. This one could definitely fly everywhere. You literally see a thunderstorm behind this thing. This is the most powerful helicopter kind of that there is. I don't even know if it's considered, I'm not sure what class of vehicle it's considered, but that's really interesting that it can, this is crazy. This company is really cool. Pressurized cabin for passenger comfort. Cool. eVTOLs don't have that. Interesting. Pressurized cabin. Oh, wow. That's interesting. So that means it can go really, really high up in the air, whereas versus eVTOLs can't, because if you don't have a pressurized cabin, you're not going to reach kind of like where planes go, because it's freezing and it's, your oxygen, you're going to have like oxygen masks. So eVTOLs fly at very low altitude. This one is going to fly pretty high. And that makes me a little less bullish for hover, because I don't think hover is doing pressurized cabins and they're trying to fly really far. But if you have to fly low, that's a problem. If you can go really high, you can go really far. So good on XTIA. And versatile targets varied markets. I wouldn't say. eVTOLs also are pretty versatile. I guess this is trying to say, they can do it for business, for medical, for military, for different uses, but that's not necessarily true, right? I would say eVTOLs can too. Anyways, that's the end of this little chart difference, why XTIA is different than the rest. I think that's pretty much good enough for now. Let's actually look here at their news. Did they just publish here? July 8th, there we go. Completes the FAA Administration Propulsion System Review on their, okay, I'm not too sure what this means, but I'm gonna have to look at all this. But it looks like they have a lot of news actually. July 3rd, July 2nd, June 26th, 24th. That's right, June 26th, they closed 16 million in public offerings. They're getting some money, so that's good. They're not dying off. 16 million, they're getting, I mean, I'm not too sure what this stuff means, to be honest. But if they're getting like 16 million, they have, leeway to stay afloat and, are not gonna, they're obviously not going bankrupt yet. So the fact that they're worth like 25, 30 million and they have like, I don't know exactly, the 16 million might be debt. I don't know how much cash they have. I haven't looked at their balance sheet. This is just kind of a macro perspective on XTIA. I really like what they're doing, how they're doing it. Like, this is very unique to the eVTOL space, and their planes really look dope. Like, if I had to pick which one to buy, I mean, obviously prices are different, but this would be much cooler than hovers, to be honest. Having it sit in your yard or something, or it just looks less scary, honestly. Like, hovers is so flimsy. This looks really safe and fast and cool. So I don't know. I like it. Look at these images. This thing is really cool. So, all right. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. If you like eVTOLs, check out this video. This doesn't have a lot of views. I think this is pretty underrated. One of my better videos, just analyzing and telling you why these companies might go up before December 3rd. So take a look at that before it's too late. Anyways, until next time, thanks for watching. Stay thinking, question everything, and peace the fuck out.